I don't think that artists age the same way that other people do. No inspiration like last minute panic. Like no motivation like last minute panic. And that is my whole life. Like last minute panic is the thing. But like, comment and subscribe to Art History Plus. He needs money.
Okay, chal, I'll keep that.
I will reach that point on my own, and I will not.
But what if that means you make less work?
Then I'll make less work. What the fuck? Wow. Quality over quantity. That's another thing. Let's talk about that.
Corporate goth,
Funeral chic, and 70s cocaine dealer.
fear. But you do have deadlines.
For sure. It's basically deadlines are what give me structure in life, no?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sure.
I'm like, these things, like, I feel like sometimes I am a parent to myself. To understand that these are existential wounds. Like, the older I'm growing, like, I am surprised at the things that I now find fascinating, etc. Like, when I was younger, I had no interest in textiles. Like, I remember when I would look at something for too long, I would kind of melt into it, and I would forget that I am here.
Yeah.
And that experience was so amazing for me to recognize. Even within the art world, you'll see a lot of people who have a lot of bitterness and resentment and jealousy for people who've already made it. For productivity, I would love to go back into the art school routine. I don't have sketchbooks anymore.
For people who are not from art school, what's the art school routine? What do you mean?
Like, as a child, I did not have language. I did not speak a lot. Hi. Yes.
And I started recording.
Okay.
But yeah, you can.
Yes, I am.
Hello, and welcome to this really lovely episode, because Divya Singh said, let's do the podcast at the Lodi Garden. And it's really cold. It's, I think, 12 degrees. We were in the Sundar Nursery.
Sundar Nursery.
And then they said no filming there. And so we came to the Lodi Garden. And it's really nice. We are sitting at a beautiful location in Delhi, in a historic site, with a contemporary artist who I have a lot of questions for. And I think it's really fun to use the backdrop of something which is like hundreds of years old to have a conversation with someone who's just 30 now. And she has no clue about what... Do you know the history of Delhi?
Yes, I do.
You know the history of Delhi, okay.
A little bit, yes.
That's amazing. I have... Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to go for this? So I'm doing this a bunch of podcasts with a bunch of people. I find your practice extremely interesting, because firstly there's a serious paradox, or I see you as like a split personality. Your Instagram account is, I mean, I've said this to you. Your Instagram account is really dark. I think it's dark. It's glitchy. It's got tech and subtitles and subaltern meaning. It's got very cryptic content on it, video related. And then your practice is very painterly. So I just feel like, are you okay?
Yes, I am quite okay. Yes. The thing is, it's there's a difference in, I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm very interested in film, in media, in photography, in cinema, and it has formed my inner life in a way. It has shaped my tastes, my aesthetic in a way which doesn't come out very directly in painting, but everything, like if I could make a map of it, everything is connected to each other. And I also make a lot of experimental films, and I also make books. So all this other kind of media that you see, it kind of goes into that. Painting is a very different world. I feel like for me, it's the first world that I had. Like it's the first universe that I inhabited, and so it has something that it has this gravity in it, and it has a sensitivity in it, and it has a certain I feel like it has a there is more peace there. There is a certain,
There's no peace there
there is more peace there.
in painting
Yes.
because
there is a
of the
serenity
amount of
there.
time it takes to produce the work.
That, and also when you're looking at, it's also contemplative, right? There is more contemplation. Whereas with all the experimental stuff that I do, it's more about looking at how the thought, like how your mind is actually working. So, like I try to stay true to the fidelity of the way that those images occur in my head, and so it's always a mix of many different kinds of things, and it's not one thing that you're thinking about. There's many images, many sounds, many thoughts.
Nice.
And so how do you
And sometimes it could be a borrowed thought also.
for sure.
But and you're saying a painting is your thought because you ponder over it for so much time.
A painting is anything that you think about. I mean, I can think about the
Nice.
photographs of someone else. I can think about the paintings of another artist, and I think there's a difference between inspiration and theft.
Okay.
So anything that inspires you, basically, if you suppose you like a song that you hear, but when you sing it, it sounds different, right?
Because you've
It's your
actualized
voice.
it. Yeah, it's your voice.
It's your voice. So it's how.
No, I'm
it's
not
how
talking
you
only
perceive.
talent. I'm talking of
No, I'm not talking
yeah.
about talent either. I'm talking about like a different like the same book that is read by many different people is a different book for each individual
Yes,
based
perfect.
on their experiences, their understanding, etc. And so I feel the same way about art, culture, music, everything. I feel like everything, when it's filtered through your experience, it comes out as a new thing, and it loses some context and it evolves. It's like a game of Chinese whispers. It evolves,
Well
it
said.
keeps evolving. So an image has a very long life, actually, I feel. Because,
Of course it does. I mean, like it's like some.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, memories are actually visual. Have a lot of, you usually ask someone to remember something. They don't remember the smell, or they don't remember. They mostly.
that actually also depends on what people remember. Is also, it has to do with who they are.
I'm not talking of synesthesia. I'm essentially saying that if you ask somebody, can you remember this thing? Like, yeah, I remember. But that happens as a visual space. So you're right. Images do last like a long. For you, since you said inspiration and theft, that thing, well, we were discussing. I wanted to ask you, are you sure you're not
Like a super chore.
super chore? Yeah.
No, I'm not a super chore.
Because I've seen. I'm not cornering you. I don't want to like. Your paintings, according to me, have no detail. Like no detail. I feel they're blurred. I had spoken to you about Gerard Richter, and even recently Abir Karmarkar had done a beautiful series of paintings at Mir Chandani, and fantastic works, where the artist is looking inside, the insides of their houses and stuff. I saw a recent show of yours, and where the sunlight was on the blue, and it was fantastic. It was like a memoryscape. I kind of actually loved it. It looked like a cyanotype, but I was really thoroughly impressed by the scale. And so I want to ask, so again I come back to this question. On one side, your Instagram account is completely dark.
It's not completely dark, okay?
By the
Behave
way,
yourself.
you shout out to at Malkaus.
Malkus.
Malkus. What is a Malkus? And please then explain about it. Let's come back to your painting. What is a Malkus?
Malkus.
And why twice?
So in the Jewish tree of life, there is the Ein Sof, the all, and the tree of life is a structure where basically spirit travels through. All information kind of filters through this network, and this network is a set of characteristics and traits, etc., etc. Basically, every possible thing filters down the tree of life, and at the base of the tree of life sits this androgynous figure who receives all this and then goes on to create the world. So that creator is Malkuth. But also there is another Malkuth who is the god of destruction, who brings winter and destroys crops. So
Okay.
Malkuth.
Wow. And so, I mean, you're borrowing from this reference, but did you create that account when you were 18 or?
No.
No, you know, sometimes people get stuck with the Instagram accounts.
No,
like I started Vaibhav Raj Shah, ha 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 ha,
Uh-huh.
when I was maybe 27.
Uh-huh.
Then somebody hacked the account, and then so I did Vaibhav Raj Shah, ha 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 ha. So I'm stuck with that. No matter how serious I get in life, my Instagram account and all my relationships are stuck with this now very funny title.
Yeah.
And so sometimes artists don't get time to pivot, you know, like so if you started a new account, you would have a new identity altogether.
Yeah.
So are you stuck with that account?
No.
What happens if you change your ideas?
What do you mean if I change my ideas?
Aren't you trapped in your own concepts then? Like, if you, for
I'm
example,
not there yet, but that does happen. Yes, you get tired of your own aesthetics. You get bored of your own heroes. That happens for sure. But the thing is, Malkuth is actually the second account. My first account was Malkuth.
Okay.
Malkuth got hacked and deleted on Instagram,
Nice.
and then I had to make Malkuth. But it was nice because when that account got deleted, I lost like some 800 extra people, and I was like,
Just showing off
that's great.
800 followers with Malkuth.
No, like I don't even remember how many, but I remember the difference. When I came to Malkuth, only the people that I really connected with, etc., were on that account, and then it slowly built again, rebuilding.
So, currently, what thoughts are happening in your paintings, like in your studio? And why is your studio empty? You said you sold out. You sold out? No, like we just concluded the India Art Fair.
Yes.
We had her works
So
at the Shrine Empire, and we are still waiting to hear if she replies to the question. Did you sell out? No, you don't know. Okay, what do you know? Arey, itna kya hai yaar?
No, so basically.
It's a good thing. I congratulate you.
Thank you. So basically, whenever there is a big fair or an exhibition, my studio is kind of emptied out. And then slowly I start working again, gets filled up again, then gets emptied out again.
Wow. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you. No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Many artists are going to look at you and be like, I mean, you're a pro then. In that sense, I mean, you're like, you entered. Do you like, have you at 30, have you started considering yourself to be in the business of art? Or are you like, no, I'm going to be all pure and I'm going to do only my creative stuff, and whatever the gallery does, whatever the outer ecosystem does. Are you consciously building your own brand in a certain way for yourself?
I mean,
and looking at the financial aspects, and also what's your relationship with money?
okay.
So I ask everybody.
Okay. So, I think that being a pure artist is kind of like a romantic idea. I mean, you can be for sure, but then if you leave everything, if you leave all the outer world responsibilities to other people, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is your responsibility to understand how things work, and it is your responsibility to have some level of participation in it. Because if you leave other people to manage everything for you, down the line you will know nothing, and chances are someone is going to screw you over a little bit. And I'm not saying that all galleries are evil, etc., but just one should know, I think, I feel. And it's especially hard now for artists because the world has really shifted. Like the world has really changed. Artists are now expected to be business people also, and they're expected to be their own marketing team, their own PR, their own everything. And it's a very strange situation to be in. It's a very unique situation to be in, because you have to also be a theorist. You have to also be like you need
write about your work.
yeah, you need academic rigor, and you need some business sense also. You need to be smart also, and I don't think it's fair to each and every kind of artist. The people who can do it really well, but then there are people who don't understand, and they don't care, and that's also okay. But then life is not exactly easy, let's say. It's a little harder to get by, because at one level it's you have your own inner world. It's your world of ideas, it's your aesthetics, it's the world you've carried with you since you were a child, and you live in that world. But then there is this outer world which demands grit, which demands resilience and like quick thinking. And
No, because there's an environment in which you are operating.
yeah, and the thing is, it's not even. There is a philosopher that I would ask everybody to read. This South Korean philosopher who's based in Germany. His name is Byung-Chul Han, and he writes about the neoliberal economy, and he writes about how everybody is basically feeding this compulsion to produce and this compulsion to perform. And what it does is that you will ultimately reach a point of burnout, because you're not geared for that kind of life. It's a system that has taken over. It's like a virus.
Yeah.
And the thing is, why it is so massive, why it works so well, is because everybody somewhere looks inside and contemplates about the meaning of life, and everybody has this existential fear. Everybody goes like an existential crisis, let's say, or angst or grief or whatever it is. But there is like a moment of like spiritual collapse, this moment of you don't know what you're doing here sometimes, and no one kind of prepares you for that. And
That's the human experience.
Exactly. And the thing is that is basically an existential wound, and how human beings kind of respond to that existential wound is with narcissism.
Wow, okay.
And there is a narcissistic impulse, this whole thing of posterity, of wanting your name to live on, of being the greatest artist, of being the greatest this, the greatest that. But the greatest is a carrot on a stick. You don't remember anybody after a few generations. Like you do, but it's like a library full of books. If you don't pull out that book and read it, it's just there. You're just one name amongst many. So instead of
Wow.
so basically any kind of this is my argument against arrogance. No matter how successful you are, basically, if you are winning awards, and this is one perspective, this is the neoliberal economic perspective. If you are winning awards, if your work is selling and this and that, it says very little about you as an artist, actually, because it's other people.
Says less about the artist.
Yeah, because the thing is, okay, I'm not saying you don't have talent and you don't have this and that. Of course you have, you are something, that's why all of this is happening, for sure. But the thing is, there are other people's interests. Your well-being has to do with other people's investments.
I mean, yeah, it's all interconnected.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
your gallery as an agent, then there are collectors. Now, once they buy your work, they are working for you actually to grow their money.
Of course, they're middlemen. No? So they're in the business of art, but you are the artist.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference. But what I'm trying to say is that suppose you are given an award, etc., etc. You have to kind of also understand that it's solidifying someone's investment also. Someone who's bought your painting. The value of your work has now gone up because you won an award. You do a biennale, you do a solo, you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
It's basically your everyone who's invested in you is profiting from you doing well, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not just you who's doing well, you are also being given these things to go up so that everything else goes up also. So it's not just you. So if
It's manufactured.
It's a manufactured success actually, and the thing about success is that you can get success. It's the real task is to maintain it.
Hmm.
And success looks good from the outside. Always. It's always shinier from the outside. And so whenever I
But
say
it must be, you're saying for an artist it can be very, it's a big responsibility.
it takes everything from you. It takes your life, it takes your blood, it takes your sweat, your tears, everything.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah.
You work 10, 20, 30 years of your life for that overnight success.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as overnight success.
You've really thought this through.
Well, it's yeah, kind of.
Wow. No, I mean, I didn't have these thoughts when I was 30. I mean, the internet just came into the world, so, you know. Are you a product of
Internet?
reading a lot of the internet? You know, of reading too much, or like...
Reading too much. I
yeah,
don't
like,
think I've read enough actually.
Why I'm asking you this is because you are born at the time when maybe you were 10, the internet was in its HTML stage 2. When I was younger, first you could have only text.
Yeah.
You couldn't see images. Then slowly you could only read content. You couldn't input anything. Like, you know, I couldn't put my thoughts on the internet. I could only take from the internet. Then stage 3 happened where you could put out your content out there, and then social networking allowed, I could pull it out. Maybe I could send an email to only one person. And stage 4 was when social media pops in and you can actually pull it out in a repository where anyone can read what you are doing. That was Orkut and stuff.
Yeah, I remember Orkut. Fuck.
And then when Instagram comes in, you have image
Yeah.
and meaning making from, like, your lifestyle can be expressed. So your expressions start getting more nuanced. What people want, how people see you, perceive. You know, each individual became a brand.
Yes.
I mean, there are
that's
multiple.
That's something that I wanted to talk to you about actually. So basically, again about the neoliberal economy, etc. So basically, artists are like racehorses, and I use the racehorse analogy a lot. But basically, racehorses, and you win first prize season after season.
Yeah.
Okay. The day you get tired,
Yeah.
you will be replaced.
But that's.
And that's the thing. That's something that comes as a shock to like younger artists, let's say.
Yeah.
Like when you get tired, when you stop producing the big hits, the best sellers, because obviously at some point you will kind of slow down.
Won't you mature and have?
But you need time. No, that's the thing. If you're constantly producing, you are depleting your inner life. When do you have the time to sit and contemplate and think and read and feel things, to do things? You're just going from success to success, and that dopamine is like, after a while you'll get tired, and what you'll do is you'll fall back on something that is formulaic. You'll develop a formula and you'll keep repeating it, because now you have willingly yourself turned yourself into a producer, into someone who has the compulsion to produce, the compulsion to perform, and that will lead to burnout for sure.
Are you saying this is happening to you, or are you speaking generically?
I'm speaking generically, but
This podcast is about you, you know that.
No, I know that, but I had a similar experience, and then I read about it. And the thing is, when you have these kind of experiences, when you really feel like, okay, fuck, I've burnt out, I can't do this, I can't move. You don't realize that it's not just happening to you, but in that moment it feels like that.
But you don't have control on your time then. Are you working? Who's triggering your schedule?
No one.
You are.
Yeah.
So then this is self-inflicted.
It's
Then
not.
somebody's
It
gonna
is.
look
That's the thing. It is, in most cases, it's self-inflicted because of the dopamine.
Which is why I
but
asked you.
also
Which
then
is
money.
why I asked you: are you a victim? Are you a product of the internet? Because the internet has I'll tell you one thing. I'm like, a few years older than you. When I was
Few
younger,
years older. Few years
few
older than
years,
me.
a decade. When we were younger, we didn't have the internet, so
Yeah, I know. Yes.
I don't feel
You
old.
saw the
I
internet
want to also
come
have
in,
this chat
yes.
about you. You mentioned this amazing thing called, forget that, everyone knows it, general information. Life was better when we were younger. But basically,
Huh.
you brought up a damn cool thing. I wanted to probe you on this. Artist's age.
Yes.
And let's talk about age. Huh? We were discussing age.
Huh.
You're 30, I'm 40. But you said, Nah, okay, we put it out there. You said, you.
I just turned 30, by the way.
Wow. Great. So you basically, you want to say anything about being 30? No, being an you
It's-
spoke about artist age.
It's not that bad. It's great.
It's damn good.
Yeah, it's
gut
fine.
health. Start concentrating on gut health.
Thanks.
Is my 2 cents. You have gut health. I also want to talk about skin
Skin.
and your retinol thing. She has a patch. If you can see, we're shooting in 4K. So she decided. I asked her, makeup लगा के आएगी? उसने बोला ना. नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला. But basically we've been discussing. I had bad skin. She is working on her skin also. We are both. I don't know how we started speaking about skin at the German embassy thing, but in the party. But we connected over retinol. Anyways, but I want to ask you about age. I want to ask you about artist age. You have this theory about that maybe you have friends from other spaces which are not in the art space. And so, can you explain this
Yeah.
theory of artist age?
It's very strange because first of all, I think anyone who's an artist is kind of like a neurodivergent. I really believe this because other people have the capacity to do 9 to 5 jobs, etc. Very like seamlessly they go through life and they don't really have much of an existential crisis and this and that. With artists, like everybody that I studied with, especially like I want to talk about the women, okay, it's very rare that some of them like got married or had children.
Hmm.
If they are artists and if they maintain their practice, they did not like we're not aging, we're just growing older. You know, we're not growing up, let's say, we're just
Right.
growing older. Growing up happens also, but it's not in the worldly way, in the other way. Like we have a very different trajectory. Like and the same pressures that society has on other women, let's say, of children, of marriage. We think about these things, but we choose art at the end of it.
But art is an addiction. It's like I'm an artist.
It's
I'm an
not
artist.
even it's your path. It's
Yeah.
it's who you are. It's what, let's say, you were born to do.
Yeah.
Basically, okay. From my own experience, I am saying, obviously, as a
Forget. We'll do a half an hour. Yeah.
woman.
Hmm. As a woman, now what happened? Why as a woman?
Because women have a pressure to produce life. We have apparently we have a time slot, no?
Yeah. Biological age.
Biological age, etc. And basically the other, like my classmates and all, when I was in College of Art, there were a lot of girls in my class who were just doing that degree so that they had a degree so that they could get married, which was a very strange thing for me to experience.
Did you just say the name of the college?
Yes, I can't say that.
No, do you want to say? It's not right, no? Oh, you're okay with it?
No,
I'm okay. I'm not
mean,
going to edit it.
It's
Yeah.
a reality. A lot of women go there to get a token degree and then they want to get married, and that's their path in life. They chose that, whatever.
Got it.
Whatever. So that was one experience, and I was like, okay, this is how the world is. What to do? You
Sure.
choose, you decide your life. Great. And then when I was doing my masters, let's say I met more serious artists. Okay.
More serious. What does that mean?
Like they're not doing it for a degree. They're doing it because
They have expression.
Because they are artists. This is what they are doing. This is their path. Again. But what I noticed amongst all of us was that there was something childlike. There's something very childlike in anyone who creates anything.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be like
I'm right about
you
that.
need a distance from the world, from worldliness, in order to be able to create.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the time to look at the trees and the flowers and the birds, you're on a very different, like you're on a different tangent, right?
Sometimes I feel artists are the only humans left. Like
Let's
they're
say,
actually looking, like dancing in the rain, you know, following butterflies is not nothing. It's very like real.
I think it's systematically beaten out of you unless you fight against it. It's not like it's only artists. Other people also have this.
Yeah.
This romance that you have for life, you need to keep it alive.
Yeah.
It's like a spark. It dies.
Yeah.
If you let other people stomp it out, it'll go.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. But when it
Age,
comes
age.
to
You were talking
age,
about age, yeah.
when it comes to age, I don't think that artists age the same way that other people do. In the sense that
Not in the gravitational sense. In the
no,
yeah.
like
Psychologically.
not even psychologically, like as an industry, let's say,
As an industry, wow.
like as a
Explain
as let's say the art world.
Yeah.
You are considered young till you're 40. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Like not in the same way. Like you're considered a mid-career artist after 40, etc., etc. Until then, you are considered a young artist doing this, doing
You
that.
can get
whatever.
grants also. 40
You
is
can
the
get
limit.
grant,
Yeah.
etc. But obviously, there's a limit to how much, and I think it's 45 maximum, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things have
Shift, yeah.
shifted, but
The age has the bracket of what is permissible now for
Yeah.
grant. Yeah.
like I know some curators, etc. And I don't know. We don't. Maybe it's some Indian genetic thing. We don't even look that old. We don't look old.
Thanks, yeah.
We don't look that old. Like especially the women.
Yeah.
And
In India, are you saying it's.
no, in India, like in the whatever I've seen, like some curators, etc. that I've seen, I don't know their age, but I would, if I look at them without knowing, I would say, yeah, this is a young person, whatever. And then you ask them, and they say 40, 45, and I'm
you're
like,
like,
wow.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, that wow basically comes from what you expect from the world.
Yeah.
And so these are different worlds. And
So you're saying 40-year-olds engineers look completely different than art. Yeah, that's actually true, you know.
it's true, like there's something else.
There's an
that-
uncle vibe that is happening or an auntie vibe that is
Yeah,
generating in
like,
corporate.
Like I had this friend in high school.
Yeah, maybe because they are artists are constantly. You're on to something.
I'm telling you, there's something going on there. Like
something going on.
we don't age in the same way that other people do. I really believe that. And
You okay?
yeah. I just wish we had a little chai to drink and to have like a conversation like that.
Is there a cafe here?
नहीं यहाँ पे नहीं बाहर है. But some chai walas come around sometimes. I don't know where they are. But it's a
Come,
bit dangerous to.
I'll get you
have.
chai. To have chai here. You what? Any subject that we've not spoken of? That's what I asked you about your phone.
I was just looking. Wait, कहाँ रख देती हूँ यार मैं बार
You dress. I wanted to also ask you this thing. You know you dress up like what did you call it? Funeral chic or gothic?
No, corporate goth.
Corporate goth. She apparently has a new. Is it a new?
No, it's not a new
It's not a
thing.
new thing. She likes to dress up as corporate
No,
goth.
I don't like to dress up as corporate goth. What I do is between
Corporate goth,
funeral chic
funeral chic.
and 70s cocaine dealer.
You know what the 70s were like? It was
From
insane.
the media that I've seen, yes.
And
Were you
all,
alive?
No, I'm saying that the illusion of what the 70s looked like was being done by people like us, the magic makers
Yeah.
in cinema.
Yeah.
So all the lighting,
The
and
colors.
there was no electricity. Yeah, all the colors, all that VHS tape glitch, you know, all that the aesthetic of the final what you receive today of the footage that you see from 70s and that synth bass, Night Rider vibe, all those qualities which are there in the 70s, those are technologically induced feelings.
For sure, for sure.
So you're romanticizing
I'm not romanticizing
Ideas.
anything. I just saw someone and I was like, this is great.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
You look
No,
nice.
yeah.
You
No, but it suits you well. Whenever I've seen you, you are like, you're a Rajasthani Singh, you said. So this, like, Rajasthani women or Rajasthani people, like you celebrate their culture. You know, they're like very
My
colorful.
ancestors were from Rajasthan.
I know. I'm talking to you as an individual, but I'm also talking. Don't you? Have you shunned the Rajasthani roots? Like
I
Rajasthan? No, not for me.
no, it's not like that. It's but
All these ideas don't come into your art practice. Let's talk about your art practice. What is your work about?
my work is about the experience of being human, of being a certain kind of human, and it's also about
Like, can you articulate that? Because that the exploration of this subject will allow the viewers to maybe understand you as a person. And I want to kind of like
you can't
do a
lock.
portrait. No, I want to do a portrait of a person, right? I mean, by asking a direct question like, you've been writing this PDF for all the curators and for all the funding and for your whole life, right? Who am I? About the artist.
About the artist is mostly like the themes I work with and what I've
Okay,
done.
let's do the themes first, and then let's do artist statement. Who are you? No, artistically, okay?
Artistically, see, the thing is, I'm very fascinated by some things, and I've basically held on to the same things that I was fascinated by as a child. And for me, I think everything for me comes from my childhood.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, that aspect of childhood is very, very like fundamental. And
But give us
The
a sneak
kind
peek
of-
about your childhood. Like when you say that, what do you mean?
like as a child, I did not have language. I did not speak a lot. If I had to really convey something to my parents, I would write them letters, because everything that I wanted to say was a big feeling, was a big image. And so the way that I lived was a quiet life.
were a
I had
shy kid.
Yeah, I was a shy kid. I had a quiet life, and but I loved nature, and I loved the outdoors, and I spent a lot of time looking at the way light passes through, the way things are in the house, and kind of like
Yeah, no, it's going elsewhere.
no, but I think very early on I was quite grateful for very basic things like my senses.
Yeah.
The fact that I was here, the fact
You were conscious of the fact that
Yes.
you're looking at something
Yes,
special.
Yes, but I also I became aware of certain things. Like I remember when I would look at something for too long, I would kind of melt into it, and I would
Yeah.
forget that I am here.
Yeah.
And that experience was so amazing for me to recognize.
Yeah.
Like like to see yourself looking, and
Yeah.
then to kind of
Yeah, there's an image of you watching. I have had that experience as a painter. Yeah, you feel
you
like
have that, no?
it happens to me sometimes when I'm trying to take a photograph.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to just do it, but I can see something special right now. Like this
Yeah.
is special.
Yeah.
All I need to do is capture it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you are painting, now you're using realism. You're using realism in your painting always.
No, not necessarily. Actually, I'm always in an in-between state. Like for everything, if you look at each aspect of like my existence, it's always an in-between space. Like I think my practice kind of hangs in between life and death. Like it's very
Life and death.
it's very ghostly. Like I gravitate towards life. There is a childlike part of me that clings to life, and then there is a wiser aspect of my personality that accepts death, that has this grace with things, serenity, this and it's these things. Like I feel like sometimes I am a parent to myself.
That's nice.
And then
That's pretty healthy.
I see myself also as the child. Like talking to that parent, negotiating, and it's
Wow,
quite
that's
an
a,
experience.
That's a good experience.
Yeah, like I think.
Do you have friends out of the art world
Yes.
who actually understand what the hell is like? Divya, she's like, I'm right now in a
Most
moment.
of my friends are actually from outside the art world, because
And you
I
find that
can-
healthy, or do you?
I find that good because I can have like these very pure conversations with them.
Yeah. Real conversations.
Yeah, real conversation. And the thing is, you know, I don't think that they have a lot of people that they can have those kinds of conversations with
Yeah.
in their day-to-day life. So,
Like denser conversations, which that they can have with you. I feel my presence as an artist in my other friends who are non-artists creates a sudden conflict where they're like, oh wow, has creative ideas and we don't have creative ideas.
that's another thing. Let's talk about that. That's another thing altogether.
And so your position in that setting makes them feel a
No.
little,
You have to kind of understand that these are existential wounds. Okay, these are existential wounds, and even within the art world, you'll see a lot of people who have a lot of bitterness and resentment and jealousy for people who've already made it.
Yeah.
And those people are everywhere, in every field, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's an existential wound, and you need to kind of respond to it with compassion till a point. There is a cap. After that, everybody has a responsibility to kind of
heal themselves.
not just heal themselves. Sometimes you can't heal alone.
Yeah.
It's not just about healing yourself. It's about navigating and understanding differently. Like opening your mind is up to you.
Yeah.
Healing yourself might not be up to you, but openness is. You have to kind of be more willing to emotionally regulate yourself.
Sure.
As an adult, that's the bare minimum you should try to do.
Did you have feelings of jealousy or?
I've never been, no. I've always, I was talking to somebody the other day. I love painting so much that I can go into exhibitions, and if I see someone's work that's really good, I am filled with joy because I am a part of the culture.
Same.
It nourishes me. You
Yeah.
know, like jealousy is a strange thing, and it's like a fire and it only burns you. And it's sad because some people naturally are a little more jealous than others, but I've always felt happy for other people. I've never really I don't compete with other people. I only ask myself to level up.
Yeah. Competition is for losers. Who said that? Naval Ravikant said that
I
on the
don't
Joe
know.
Rogan podcast.
I don't
No, it's a great. I mean, it's a very healthy. You have a very healthy mind, yeah. Like at least based on the conversation that we're having, I feel like maybe you secretly go to a therapist and
I have
you're-
no therapist.
and you are. Yeah.
But I think at 30,
It's good too. I mean,
think
you've got
should
a very
get
mature
therapist.
thoughts. It sounds to me that you kind of are protecting yourself in advance for something that you know you're going to work really hard, and because your career is doing well, because you're as an artist, I mean, you've kind of like created very good moats around around yourself to protect yourself, but to also isolate yourself.
Yes.
It's a good quality actually. There's lots to learn from. I learned something from you today. I learned from you something. It's got. You don't have any like regrets. You don't waste time or something.
No.
I mean, like
waste time,
sometimes I'm on the
procrastinate.
internet. I'm on Instagram sometimes in the night, and I see that green dot. I'm like, Divya, Malkus is online, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You sleep. What's like?
It's very rare that sometimes I have like a very good routine, but when that routine breaks, it's very hard to get it back. Very hard to get it back. But I am somebody who has, let's say, there's this thing called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is if I say, okay, I am done smoking this cigarette, I don't want to smoke it anymore, and next day I don't smoke cigarettes,
Yeah.
and I just stop smoking cigarettes. That is a very high sense of self-efficacy, and you have to kind of aim for that. You kind of have to develop certain things in yourself that might not be very developed, let's say. In terms of time, I do feel bad. I have wasted a lot of time, but I can't help it. Now I have come to accept that it's part of the creative process.
They were talking about being up late night and like whether you procrastinate a lot. You procrastinate,
I procrastinate for sure.
but that's normal, right?
I once read something I think it was in Calvin and Hobbes, the comic strip.
Bill Watterson, yeah.
Yes.
It's
So
amazing.
it said, I think Calvin had to do homework or something, and There's something about this. There's no and Hobbes is the really sarcastic, sardonic kind of thing, right? So he says, no inspiration like last minute panic, like no motivation like last minute panic, and that is my whole life. Like last minute panic is the thing, but it's if I have 5 days to make something,
Yeah.
the first 3 days I will circumnavigate around the canvas looking at it,
Yeah.
and like I will no.
Are you afraid of the blank canvas? But you.
I think that's a cliche.
And what's your process? Like you sketch first, and like do you do the art school routine?
No.
Sketch karo, chota drawing.
नहीं वो सब मैंने करना बंद कर दिया.
So then what? You just attack.
Yeah. Like I
With
think
an image in your mind,
Yes.
unresolved image in your
Yeah.
mind, you attack,
yeah.
and then you.
I think like this is what I was saying about productivity. I would love to go back into the art school routine. I don't have
Which
sketchbooks
is, can you
anymore.
for people who are not from art school, what's the art school routine?
The art school routine is you make sketches, you make quick sketches, you make serious drawings, you make watercolors, etc. And then you move on to the canvas, which is the last whatever.
But then that becomes. I always felt like you're mimicking the bloody original core fire that you had. The core intention to paint and to just put it out there is lost already in the sketch and the preparatory sketches. Then you're just you're manufacturing an image which you have already.
That happens. Yeah. So you kind of go to the canvas directly. Yes. And I think at some point you start to do that. Like for me, what happened, the biggest shift in my practice that took place was when I was in my masters. And
I feel like painting now, man. Like when I'm talking to you, like I feel like I'm wasting my life doing this art history plus. Like I should get back to my practice, man.
You should. We can paint together in a park like this. You can do that.
They'll be like either tripod allowed, nahi, they'll be like easel na.
No, easel is allowed. Tripods, I think they have some bomb scare or bomb threat or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, last bomber came with a bomb on a tripod, no? Anyway, so you're basically.
Smart guy.
He came as well. You basically have no fear, but you do have deadlines.
For sure. It's basically deadlines are what give me structure in life, no?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sure.
I'm like, "Ooh."
And your deadlines are induced by your gallerist or like by you yourself, and then you plan your own solo show. Are you having a solo show?
Yes, I am having a solo show, but I will not tell you when. It will be declared when it happens.
And that's also too much pressure
Yes.
to announce it on a.
पागल हो गए ये सब नहीं करना मुझे. नहीं, but what were we talking about?
Nothing. We've spoken quite a lot. I'm okay to now freestyle this. I'm going to ask you: is there anything you want to talk about
We
that
have
I have
more
not yet?
things to talk about.
That I have not asked you. I want to explore this artist, and I want to figure out. I think you have really.
Children in biological age, relationship with money.
Oh yeah, and skin and retinol.
Hey, skin, leave it, huh?
Why? Let's talk.
Okay, fine.
You're on camera. This is a 4K camera. You show them your. What is it called?
Acne patches.
Acne patches.
It's really windy today, huh?
Yeah, she wears acne patches. I had bad skin. You have bad skin?
I don't have bad skin. I have allergies.
Allergies. Okay, let's not talk about skin because it has nothing to do with the art practice.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
but I
I'm
want-
happy that you at least even you're okay to even consider having the conversation.
Yes. That's
Yeah. No. So yeah, sorry. What were the other topics you were saying? I want to ask you about money. Like, how do you spend money? Like as a
spend
30-year-old artist, like you're saving and you're investing and all.
yeah. I'm saving, but I'm also spending.
Mutual fund सही है.
I'm spending more than I'm saving actually.
Ah,
But that's
it's called in Hindi. What is it called? अठन्नी खर्चा, आमदनी अठन्नी खर्चा रुपया.
yeah. आमदनी अठन्नी खर्चा. Isn't that a song?
It's a muhavra.
Okay.
Yeah. But any which ways. But you're spending on what? I don't want to like go through Amazon
see,
bucket list.
this is something that I have thought about.
Yeah. No, some people
I
say
don't
only
have-
art. Are you buying only art equipment and like, are you like
No,
retail therapy?
retail therapy hota hai, yes, of course. But yeah, I mean, art equipment, like art materials are expensive, and you have a certain amount of money that you keep for that. But also, like,
You want to live a life.
Yeah, I want to live a life. Like the older I'm growing, like I am surprised at the things that I now find fascinating, etc. Like when I was younger, I had no interest in textiles. Nothing. I could not bring myself to give up about miniature painting, textiles, fabric,
Yeah.
curtains,
Yeah.
rugs. I did not. Rugs I cared about for some reason, but nothing else. Nothing else.
You're normal then. Yeah.
But the older I'm growing, now I'm seeing the beauty of things, the
Because
ceramics,
you know the meaning.
the small things,
Because
the
you
big
know
things.
what is the meaning of human effort.
Yeah.
Because
So I think I've grown up, yes.
maturity, wow.
But you know, I was a very feral person. I had to domesticate myself over a period of time by living alone. I had to learn how to cook, how to clean. I have to.
You domesticated yourself by living alone.
Yes. I taught myself a lot of things. I learned how to live, how to survive, and thanks to a matriarch who was my neighbor, who took pity on me and taught me some things and gave me some utensils, etc., etc. But I had a very sweet time, I guess, learning how to do things. Like I messed up my own clothes, washing them, etc., etc. Like I had a lot of happy accidents, etc. I burnt my lunch, I broke some plates, I was insane. But from that, I evolved. I learned to keep my things properly. Because when I was growing up, all of this was done for me.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of this. I wasn't expected to do any of this. I was only expected to perform well and to stay alive.
Yeah.
That's it.
Barabar.
So,
And you also mentioned that you have this. The last party we went to, for Randy, the first time we met,
yes.
there is this sentence you said. You said this about it was regarding skin and stuff like that, and then you said there's a hormonal change happening in you, and there's this urge.
Yes.
There is you starting to realize. Amshu was there, I think, in that place, but he was there part of the conversation.
I don't think so, no.
And then you said that there,
Oh, no,
you
no,
started
Amshu
to
wasn't
realize.
there.
You
Yeah.
said there is this. You're realizing that your body is reacting in a way, and that your body clock is starting. You want to have kids or something like that.
I don't want to have kids. But my body is in its sexual prime, in its reproductive prime, and it's like, bro, what is happening? What is all this celibacy? Excuse us. Hello.
Barabar.
So then I think hormonally, what happens to teenagers
Should I edit
is
the
what
celibacy part, or like do you want to let it be? I'm going to let it be. It's like comments.
No,
no,
but that was then, no?
Oh, haan, hello, auntie. This is one of the most free-flowing conversations. It's amazing. I'm wondering. I just now had a thought. Why am I'm interviewing only artists. Why are artists only interviewed? There's something special about artists. Why can't I interview anybody? Because they have the same kind of experience as artists, but you're just more sensitive to articulate all these ideas. How is this happening? Because I think artists concentrate on themselves. And
They
you just mentioned
have to.
narcissism.
They have to. See, the thing is, everyone's not a narcissist necessarily.
Yeah.
There is a tendency towards narcissism.
It's a protection capability.
It's
a protection,
basically it's a defense mechanism, let's say, from a vast, bigger thing that you don't understand, that you cannot cope with, and no one has the fucking answers.
Sure.
Billions of years and no one has any answers. They have perspectives.
Sure.
So, the best you can do is self-soothe. And what that does is you kind of develop yourself into a version that can do it, that can survive.
Mm.
But you kind of lose your way, let's say. I think that people forget after a while the initial reason for doing certain things.
And artists are always conscious about that fact.
Not really, because again, the worst thing that
Yeah, you're asked to
the
put yourself out. No?
productivity
Yeah.
of this compulsion to produce and perform, what it does is it takes away your dream it takes away the romance that made you go into these things. That's why I think older artists start stealing shit. because they're out of ideas completely,
Yeah.
and they have lost the romance, and now they're just making money.
They become memes of themselves.
Yeah, they've become versions. They've become like you
Yeah.
say something for so long
Long. Yeah.
that it becomes stale even for you, and you just like the apathy, the weight of the apathy that hits you when you are older is something that young people are immune to, let's say.
How do you know this?
Because I see this. You notice see, the thing is, everybody talks in the art world about how one artist makes work versus how another artist makes work. And
Yeah.
there are many artists who don't even make their own works. They
Yeah.
have a factory of artisans who do it, and they have the audacity to go sign their name on top of paintings that they did not make.
Yeah.
Or they'll the many
Come
things.
on, but that's like. Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's the thing. You're part of the machinery. You would not do that if the machinery did not demand it from you.
Yeah.
Right? You found a way, and you found an excuse, and you found a loophole. You are the director. You're making a film without really making a film. You're the director, and you have other people doing other things, but it's your film.
Maybe you're the producer.
Maybe you're whatever. Maybe you're
You hire a director. You hire.
whatever you are.
In the end, the producer's name is written always. It's like B.R. Chopra's film. That's why the producer is more important.
producer
As
is
an
the
artist, would you
money.
rather be a producer or would rather be labor?
See, the thing
Now I'm
is,
asking you a direct question.
what?
As an artist,
Huh.
you're having some soft corner for putting labor into your work, and you're romanticizing that idea that painting yourself is the real shit, and that
No.
getting
See,
getting
the thing is, I
get-
can only speak for myself. But I have a feeling that
you want Anish Kapoor to sit and polish his own, buff his own acrylic works and his marble works. Of course, he's going to have a team. You want Olafur Eliasson to.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about painting. When you have installations, of course, you're not going to sit and drill everything on your
Even
own. You
paintings,
need
I'm
teams, etc. Yeah?
Once you, I'm just like I
See,
just
if your work is like, for me, I can never imagine having an assistant. I can never.
today, which is why I'm doing this interview with you and locking your ideas today, because we'll laugh later. Maybe tomorrow when you become extremely
No.
exponentially successful.
No,
Relook at-
I want to paint till my hands are shaking and I am like, I will reach that point on my own, and I will not.
But what if that means you make less work?
Then I'll make less work. What the fuck? Wow. Quality over quantity. You want to make 30 shit paintings, or you want to make 3 nice paintings?
You know the tides have turned when the person is now asking you questions. You're a powerful human being. I'm going to say bye to you, and on that amazing note, she actually, that long pause was really threatening. No, like you took a long pause. Like, do you want to make shit works? Any which ways, this was Divya Singh, Malkus on Instagram. If Instagram exists 50
In my
years
natural
later,
habitat also.
in Delhi.
These are
And-
my old stomping grounds. I have had many school trips, picnics,
Yeah.
leisurely excursions, walks, etc.
But
this
did
park
anybody
is-
ask you such in-depth questions?
Not on camera, no.
But otherwise, yeah.
Otherwise, of course, I'm a
Yeah,
person
you're an
with
in-depth
friends.
person, yeah.
I have a life. I have, yes.
It's time to say goodbye to the girl who dresses in funeral chic.
I am now a woman, 30.
I'm on the, can you please say like, comment and subscribe to Art History Plus, and say whatever you feel like. Just if it's nice, I'll take it. If you say something bad, I'll just cut it out.
Like, comment, and subscribe to Art History Plus. He needs money.
Okay, chal, I'll keep that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
क्या करने का?
चलो कुछ खाते हैं, कुछ पीते हैं, चाय.
Chai पिला. It was actually sweet. You